Hi, it's Tracy from Purple Cats Quilting. We're here in the Learning Center today with Tara Sinclair of O Creations of Calgary, and she has been working on the Little Lone Star coat pack, the Free Spirit coat story, the pattern from Quiltsmart. So this is using a fusible product to make this beautiful Little Lone Star. So she's going to tell us how she did it.
So first you want to make sure that you do have a coat pack, because you have all your instructions in here as well as this panel. You actually get, what is it, 6 of them? 6 panels. So you can actually do a full quilt with that, or you can use it for your coat. And in the sample coat here, you can see she didn't do a full Lone Star. She did do some piecing and moving things around.
What I liked about that is she almost made it look like a mountains on her shoulders and stuff. She really played with the color.
I love that. So I have my panels here, and the very first thing you want to do is you want to take a panel and you're going to cut a piece off of it, making sure that you have all the bits you need. And of course that's in the instructions showing you exactly what you're looking for. You do have a glue side and you have a smooth side on each of these. And the smooth side, it's a little easier to read the instructions, but the glue side, of course, is your fusible interfacing. Some of this is actually printed on the right side, so you can read the word perfectly from this side, but here you can see like column 3, it's printed from the other side. So there are some pieces where it might look upside down or inside out, or
so I would almost have one working copy from one side and the other one laying there so I could read it, because
exactly.
My eyes aren't that good. Okay.
So we're going to start with the glue side up, and there is a spot right here that does say start.
That's a good.
Thank goodness. Now start needs to be on the left. I initially started this trying to figure out why my start was on top, because that way my words were right side up. You don't want the words right side up. You want the words on the left hand side, the very top left corner, as though you're starting to read a book. Top left corner.
Okay.
Now, we're working with 4 fabrics. Red, green, yellow, blue. And that's my numbers. Red is 1, green is 2, yellow is 3, and blue is 4.
And we're using Tim Holtz Alchemy, so it's a variation. So that looks brown, but it's yellow. It's a yellow.
Yeah, these are
fabric.
all the same. And
you could make yourself a swatch sheet, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, if it makes it easier.
So what I've done is I have my fabrics cut, and actually on the instructions it does tell you the size at the very, very top of the instructions that you want to cut. And then you're not using a lot of big pieces on your interfacing.
Because you said that this fabric went a long ways. You had fat quarter and you just cut a couple strips. And
I've cut 2 strips off my fat quarters.
Yeah, and you've got 4 of these already made.
Exactly. So here's my colors. I've got them stacked 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when I go to the second column, I'm going to take number 1 and put it on the bottom, so that I'm doing 2, 3, 4, 1.
Switch the deck around.
Then the next one, I take the top 2 and move it to the bottom.
Clever. Is this in the instructions?
That's not in the instructions. That's my organization.
Tara instructions. Tara is an IT person, so she thinks different than the rest of us, which is really good.
So this is going to be my column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4.
Awesome.
So we're going to start with column 1, the very top one. And when we're looking at this, I'm going to move this a little closer to you here. We have some dots on here, some lines, everything like that. My very first fabric, we want to lay it centered between these 2 sections. There's actually a dotted line coming right down the center here, which is a fold line, and you don't want to cross over that. You also want the corner of your fabric to be just right at the top of that dot. Okay? And this is in the instructions. And so you're laying it so it's right here at the top corner where the start is. We're at the top. And right down here by that dot, that's the bottom.
Perfect.
Now we're going to fuse. Teeny tiny irons.
Yes,
teeny
these little mini
tiny
travel irons are golden for this, because this is fusible backing. It might stick to your iron if you don't get just on the fabric. And you could use an applique pressing sheet, but you want to do a bunch of them together, right?
Exactly. And I'm just using the edges of my iron, and it actually fuses pretty decently.
And you're just stabilizing it so you can take it over and sew it.
Now,
if you get goop on your iron, you can always get it off with a dryer sheet.
Yep, just use your hot iron on a dryer sheet. Do it on a corner of a mat or something, just so that if there's oils in that dryer sheet when it soaks in.
Oh,
I had
didn't
that
know
once.
Ooh.
And then I just took parchment paper and kept soaking it up.
Well, I just actually washed my iron mats last weekend again in soak, and I always should take a before picture because they're atrocious, and then they're like brand new when I'm done.
Oh, that soak is amazing for that.
I know.
I did it once and I just couldn't believe what was in my bathtub after.
I know, I know. So you just take warm water, soak, which is for washing quilts and stuff, and you just put it in there and you immerse it and you just swish this thing around and around and around, and you would not believe what comes out, because I like to use this kind of stuff and it's in there, and maybe I get glue from something else. So you can wash your wool mats and they come out like just fresh as a daisy.
They're beautiful. Let it dry for a few days.
I hung mine up in my over top of the tap in there, and then just over a railing, and yeah.
And my big mat, I actually stood on top of one of my hot air vents in my house.
Yeah, yeah.
And just
but they do clean. They're just
beautiful.
You'll have them forever.
Yeah. All right. So my second piece, my fabric number 2, we're going to use a little bit of a foundation paper piecing technique here. What you do is you lay this right sides together, and you've got a dot from your row 2 at the end there, and you've got that dot that you lined your red fabric up with. Basically, it's right along the bottom. You don't want it to protrude past. You're going to lay it there. Now, the instructions have you use a little bit of fabric glue. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use a pin, and I'm going to pin diagonally across it.
So could you use, like, you could just use like a Sue Daily glue pen?
You could. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to end up sewing across this and then flipping this down. So if you're going to use glue, only use glue in the bottom corner.
Oh, okay.
Just for the stabilization again until we get it to the sewing machine. That's all we're doing.
Do you draw a line? Or
No. So when we take this to the sewing machine, we're going to flip it over. That's why the pin.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, oh, and we sew in the line.
You have row 1. My pin just covered the 1 there. But there's a row 1, and you're going to sew from the dot to the dot directly on that line.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to do that.
That's easy. It is like foundation.
It is.
Piecing. All right.
It really is.
So that's cool.
So drop your needle directly in one dot. Find my presser foot.
Yeah, they kind of sneak away on us.
I had it up on the leg.
Tara's got her 2-cone today. It's third day of retreat. We didn't wear our pajamas today out of respect. I don't know.
We're trying to figure out who we're respecting.
Yeah, I
but
know. Well, next time we'll have a pajama
the gas
day.
station doesn't want me wearing my pajamas to fill up when I leave.
They do it here for you, actually, in
Oh,
Rimby. It's
full
self-service.
service?
You betcha. Full service. I mean,
Nice.
yes, in Rimby.
All right, so here you can see I've sewn along line 1. Okay,
Cool.
I'll trim some threads because people like threads trimmed. And same with this side. I've sewn along line 1. Now it's almost like I put 2 pieces of binding together.
Oh, yeah, it's at an angle. You're
Exactly.
right.
So we're going to fold this down, and I like to finger press it, make sure it lines up where it needs to, which is between my dotted line again. I'm going to turn this the way it was before. So between my dotted line here and my dashed line over here, make sure it sits. It's also going to line up with my next 2 dots. Okay? And we're going to give it a press. Now again, making sure you're not fusing everything to your iron. Or, yeah. You don't want to fuse everything to your
So
iron.
using the edge of your little mini iron.
That is an option. So on one of these, you can trim that excess fabric from that square. And if you take a look at these 2, you'll see this one actually still has the fabric in there. This one doesn't. And you might not be able to see it very well.
Kind of see a shadow. I
Yeah.
could tell after you showed me like that line.
That line is that fabric. I didn't trim it back to the seam allowance.
But you could. What do they recommend in the pattern?
Either.
Okay.
They say you can do either. And I don't feel a difference in them. It's
Yeah, try
not
the
adding
hand.
a lot of bulk.
Try the hand. We didn't think it felt any stiffer. Of course it is, but with that,
They feel the same.
yeah,
Exactly.
with that kind of like interfacing or whatever
So
on there anyways.
if you're making a coat and you want it warm, leave extra fabric in it.
And
I
structure,
like warm
it gives
coats.
structure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to fabric 3. which is my yellow, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lay it out, right sides together. You've got a dot at the end of this line, and you've got a dot at the bottom of that one. We're going to pin it in place and do the same thing. Okay? When I flip this over at the sewing machine, I have row 2 that needs to be sewn.
Cool.
Okay?
That's pretty slick.
It looks
This
so
is
much
what it
harder.
looked like. And look at these points. Oh man. So that's kind of like that combination of paper piecing, and then the last little trick she's going to show you here with this Fusible. And you just get such beautiful precision points, which is really, really nice, eh?
And I think yours with jello is going to be
All right.
I think it is.
So that's my second one. Trim a thread on the front. That's all I really worry about. And again, we're gonna press it back, do some finger pressing. It lines up with my,
You could
Two
use your
dots at the
seam
bottom.
roller too if you didn't want to be touching it with your iron all the time, you know. Or
You still
know
need to
how we did
fuse.
Oh, right. Yes, we do.
because you're
Okay.
fusing it down a little bit.
Yeah. Just to hold it in place.
Exactly.
There you
And
go.
fabric
That's cool.
4. Again, top of this row, and the dot from the bottom of this one. Pin it in place. And we will sew row 3. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when you're putting your fabric on, you're not going this way.
Yeah, going into
I
the
only did
block.
one of those.
Okay.
So we're going this way. We're going towards the rest of the block as we work from left to right.
And if you make a mistake, you just
seam right.
get out your little white seam right.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
So we'll sew this row. I'm all about that knee lift. Then my hands are free to hold everything.
Oh,
Oh, I
you love
love-
the knee lift.
I
yeah.
love the knee lift.
I gotta get mine out again. I know that everybody who uses it loves it.
And then I use the presser foot to lift my needle at the end.
Aren't you clever? I know these machines have so much technology in them. It's amazing, and it does make things go faster when
does.
you're doing.
So folding it down again, you'll see it makes a very straight line on both sides. And this one's going to come all the way down. And give her a press. So the next row, we're starting with our second fabric, which is my second pile here. We're ready to go.
That's not me snoring. That's the pup.
And again, I hear him snoring away. Again, we want to,
You're putting your crowd to sleep, Tara.
apparently I am. We're going to lay it right side up.
Oh,
Now
yes.
we have that dot again.
Yep.
And these are bigger circles than the rest of them because it's your starting point for laying your fabric
Alright.
piece down. Okay? And you want to bring it up to the top of that line. Now you are leaving a slight gap between these. That's by design. And you're going to fuse that in place. I feel I should have cleaned my iron. Just the exterior. And we'll take piece number 2.
It's used.
It's
and
well
loved.
loved. Right side down, we have the top of this one and that dot to align these with. Pin it in place. And again, when we flip it over, row 1. We're starting 1, 2, 3, 4 again.
Okay, so then you're gonna just finish your rows.
Yeah, so let me pop this in place.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
It's really, really cool. I really, really like this. It's very, very showy. Oh, look at this. Oh, just playing while she's busy here. Look at how beautiful that looks. Sew those together.
finger pressing again, lining it up. And number 3.
Can you pass me the instructions when you go back to sew, and I'll just talk a little bit about that.
So my next row.
So this is part of the package that you get when you order the coat pack kit by Quiltsmart. They've done a very nice job of putting together kits for this contest, the Free Spirit Coat Story Contest. One coat, your story, Free Spirit Fabrics. So part of the contest is that you use Quiltsmart product within your coat. If you want to enter the contest, you use Free Spirit Fabrics and you use the Tamarack jacket pattern.
Fabric 3 is pressed down. Now one more piece of fabric and then I can show you how the rows come together.
Awesome.
No, this is different because of what she's doing.
Excellent. So you kind of want to have your machine and your little ironing space right next to each other on this one. And so row 3.
So in one of the coat kits, you get 6 panels and your instructions. We are just giving you a summary of instructions to just help you. You can see how her coat here, she's just used them as panels and incorporated into the entire design of her coat, which is really, really cool. So it could be a feature print somewhere. She's got like the half a star at the bottom. She's played with her colors a little bit. I love how on her shoulder it almost looks like mountains. Yeah, so here actually is the coat, the back of the coat. This is what everybody fell in love with. This is the back of the coat.
All right, and we have our last piece in that second row. We're gonna flip that, finger press it down. Make sure it's in my lines. And now I can fit my little iron in here.
Yep, there you
Actually
go.
do some real pressing instead of the fake little edge pressing. All right. Now our next step, if we take and flip this over, we have this fold line right down the center. And there is a trick to this. When you do that fold, you want to be right on that dot. You don't want the dotted lines to be on either side. You want that to be right in the center, and that's what's giving you the perfect points. I did sew one where I could see the dotted line on top, and I had to remove that. My stuff did not line up.
So this product is helping us be very precise, gives us precision piecing.
And something you can do is once you've got your dots exactly on that edge, you can give it a press.
Ooh.
I found that actually helped me. So
There's
that's even
a little
better.
trick.
Make sure those dots are pushed that way.
Because there is a little bit of adhesion there at that fold, so that
Exactly.
would just hold it for you.
And it is still only one layer of fabric there, so it presses flat really nice. Ooh. Get that sucker. And if you do fuse something in place wrong, you can pull it off and refuse it again.
Yeah, it's not permanent.
It's really flexible that way. All right, and then we are going to sew right along that line. Okay?
All right.
Back to the machine.
Oh, I feel like there should be bells ringing by now, or angels singing, or
Something.
because it's just so precision. It's just so nice. It's just a neat opportunity. I know that there's wedding ring ones. So Hungry Hippie did the double wedding ring. Lots of different patterns that Quiltsmart makes. Sew on the line, flip, fuse, no biases. Cut, quick to cut and sew. Points match perfectly. There's their selling feature. They got me.
All right, sew it on the line. Open her up, finger pressing it.
Holy.
You do want to press to the start column, so the very
Okay.
first column. And look at those points.
Wow.
Let's
Incredible.
give her a press again and open that up. Look at that.
Nice.
Thing of beauty.
Awesome. Look at that. Thank you very much, Tara. So can you just lay out your thing one more time to show
You
us your
bet.
beautiful? So you could do a few pieces of this. You choose your colors. It's very showy. We're putting it on this beautiful background here by Tim Holtz. Look at that. And I mean, one looks stunning, but they even are more. And my English is really good. They're more fabulous as a group. They're even more better.
They're more better.
They're more better. Isn't that stunning?
And I love popping that color on that black alchemy. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So Tara Sinclair, Creations, Calgary, showing us our little Lone Star coat pack, little tutorial. The product is from Quiltsmart, and we have it in our shop.
And I have 2 more columns to go.
Yay! Have a good day.